Hello and welcome back to Building on a Budget Models. I'm Thomas and this is the second part of the Ferrari 248 Formula 1 2006 car in 1/20th by Fujimi. Now firstly here you've got this underside of the nose cone and there are some parts of the kind of cockpit that need to be fit in here. Now I've also used some more of the Tamiya carbon fibre decals for the suspension arms. Now these really need to be pushed in firmly here, and as I will show you in the next video, I haven't actually done a good enough job here. When you're doing this, if you are building this kit, maybe use a clamp or something similar to really get these firmly into place. There's some pedals and also the kind of pneumatic tanks for the accelerator and brake. This is kind of part of the, I suppose, kind of the dashboard. I did it in semi-gloss black and then added some red and yellow. And then there's the shaft for the steering wheel. Steering wheel I'd painted in the previous video. I'll fix that later. I used my same technique here with some low-tack masking tape and to cut out a template for the carbon fibre decal. Tried to do this in such a way so that the perpendicular arm of the suspension was with straight carbon fibre twill, if that makes sense. UMP strong decal solution was really useful here to help it adhere to the complex shapes. So this bit here really needs to be pushed in firmly. It's time for the barge boards. These were done in TS26 gloss white on the outside and Revell semi-gloss black on the inside. There are then red stripes to go along the bottoms of these. These are slightly too long, so you might want to trim them at the end. The one on the larger barge board is a little difficult as the kind of curve at the bottom of the board kind of has the tendency to let the decal fold in. I then use these little Marlboro logos and this strange sort of division symbol at the top. Then decided to add some carbon fibre to the floor, so I cut out this template. Strong decal solution was really useful to help it adhere the shape as best as possible, and I also used a hairdryer on a low setting to help it kind of fit into place. This plank on the underside was painted in Humbrol Desert Yellow. I then used the adhesive seatbelt set from Tamiya. These come with two different options, either one for closed seat belts or another one for open ones. I went with the open ones. Now if you peel off one end of the adhesive backing to expose the tape, there's also some very small little white lines to show where the buckles need to go. If you're not careful, the adhesive on the back of this can wear out quite quickly as it's quite low tack. So a bit of super glue might help in those situations. For some reason this kit doesn't come with any kind of seatbelts itself, not decal ones or real ones, but so this is a really good aftermarket product to buy. These two at the bottom here don't have any buckles. The ones on the shoulders fold over really nicely. However, I did find that I needed a little dab of super glue to secure them into place. The seat itself was done in Revell semi-gloss black. Now for these waist parts here, there's the rectangular buckle that goes in the middle, and then the kind of standard seatbelt buckle that goes on the end. For the other side, it is supposed to look like it's been kind of secured to the kind of central holder for all of the buckles. This is made up of 3 parts. I found the wax pencil here was really helpful to put this together, Just used a little bit of Gorilla Glue gel to glue those 3 parts in. And then the tape folds around to the outside. There are then some options for branding to go onto the shoulders. These are Sabelt seat belts, as are typically used by Ferrari. And there we are, pretty happy with that. These will go underneath the driver figure. Now then it came to do the front wing. The end plates are all in red. The front horizontal part here is white on the top and black on the underside, with a little red decal along the front. These are a bit of a tight fit, especially as paint has filled up some of the kind of holes for the pieces to go in, but a bit of super glue really was useful here. These barge boards here fit in with 4 different pins onto parts of the aero package. Now this underside of the nose here really needs to be pushed in securely, otherwise the bodywork won't fit in properly later. Similarly with this part here of the cockpit, it also needs to be pushed in really, really firmly. I think had I been doing this again, I would have done a lot more dry fitting here to make sure that the bodywork was all going to mate up properly. The engine and gearbox, which I finished in the first part, just secure pretty easily behind like so. Again, make sure you do some dry fitting first to make sure it's all happy. Then the seat just slots in. There's one little pin at the bottom which is a little difficult to find, so you may want to do this a few times before adding glue. There's then the airbox which goes on top and some shell logos which go on the sides. Of course none of this will be visible because I'm not going to expose any of these things. The rear wing is used super glue to put this together, and then I bought these aftermarket Marlboro decals which are a little bit fiddly to get in the right place. Now these are parts of the radiators for the side pods, done in semi-gloss black with the kind of grille in silver. These fit in quite nicely, and then I used some black panel line accent to add some kind of depth to the radiator parts. Now these exhaust tips are really strange because they look like they're covered up, so I painted the ends of them black. However, later on I found that they wouldn't actually fit through these holes, so I just took them off. It's such a strange feature. I chose not to glue the rear wing on yet, as I felt that it might just get damaged when adding the bodywork anyway. I did glue the front wing on, which later fell off, so this maybe isn't the best idea. There are these very fiddly kind of upper parts here. These are white on the top and semi-gloss black on the underside. There's some Shell and Vodafone decals that go on the top of these. There's then just some pipes to add to the radiators to link them to the engine. It's nice that they've added these details. I know that you can get detail sets for this engine, but since I was going to cover it all up, I decided it wasn't worth it. Now the brake systems and the wheel hubs are made up of lots of different parts. These were done either in semi-gloss black or iron from Revell. These also fit a polycap in the middle of them. And then there's a little brake caliper that goes on top, which is quite a nice feature. Now clipping them into place is a little bit fiddly, as there's 3 little pins that need to go in, but the back ones are nowhere near as complex as the front ones. Forgot to put the brake caliper on this one. Now I'd left off the controlling arm for the suspension on the front so I felt that I could snip off the pin that was to be connecting those. I think having both wheels turn at the same time on the front is a little bit complex. Now, it fits together with this kind of cooling part here, however, fitting them onto the suspension arms is basically impossible. So the best thing to do here is to remove the kind of brake cooling part, this kind of round circular bit, and then slip that over the suspension arms first, and then to put the brakes on. Then you can slip the cooling part back and put it into place. There's also these little Brembo decals which go on the calipers. Nice little feature, but again something which won't be seen once the wheels are on. And the wheels here are very nicely moulded, there's no seam marks or anything like that. However, I wanted these to look like the old tyres, so I gave them a little bit of a sanding with some 400 grit sandpaper. Need to try and get them as even as possible. The chrome wheels are very nice. The rear ones are slightly taller than the front ones. Just make sure you get them the right way around. And here's just to test that they fit, which they do. Now, the kind of centres of them need to be in blue and red, depending on whether they're the left or the right, so I used some red and blue Sharpie to do this. Also, there are wheel covers, which are optional for the rear wheels. These were in use at the Chinese Grand Prix in 2006, so I put them into place. The kit-supplied Bridgestone decals are not very good at all. Each letter is individual and they slip around really easily. The website Decals does do replacement Bridgestone decals in 1/20th scale, but I decided to use the template that came with the seatbelt set instead. Now, you can mask across like this to cover up the arrows for the different directions of the wheels. I found that I'm actually doing it wrong here. It's best to mask around the outside of the tyre first. I'm using 18mm Tamiya tape to do that. So like I say, mask around the outside of the tyre first, then cover it with the template. That way you're less likely to smudge it. I used one quick blast of this satin white spray paint. As you can see here, template goes over the top, and it was okay. This used a lot of trial and error, but I found that a little bit of X20A thinner and a cotton bud could not only clean the template, but also clean up any mistakes. And there we are. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. And here we are. Here's some pictures of the work I have done today. Should be one part of the video left now where I put the bodywork all together and also do the Schumacher figure to go inside. Thank you very much for watching. Please do comment, like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.